So congrats if you made it this far. This is going to be the final episode on how to make a 2D endless runner using Unity. So this will be the last episode for this game entirely. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You've done it, I guess. So for making a 2D runner, I think we have everything set already. The only thing that is missing now from this runner is to keep score. Okay, so all we need to do now is find a way to track or to keep score. Yeah, so everything else is set very well. Let me see. Right, so let's get into that. What we need to do is we need to place. Let me increase this. With shift space. We're going to set the scores to be somewhere around here. Okay, at the top right corner, so that it doesn't interrupt the gameplay. So that's what we'll be doing for this tutorial. Now, all we need to do is we need to go inside our script folder. I've already opened it, and then we need to create a script for our score. So in this case, I'm going to create a script, and I'm going to call this score. Alright, so this script has been made. Now, before we go into Visual Studio to start coding, what we need to do is in our hierarchy, I want to make a new canvas. So let's go into UI and then let's create a canvas. And we're going to call this, we're going to call this score canvas. So just let's call this score canvas. And inside of this canvas, I'm going to create two texts, or four texts rather, and I will explain the reason why as we go further. So let's make a text and let's duplicate this 4 more times. So hit Ctrl D 3 more times. This should do it. So for the first one, I'm going to call this high score text. Alright, so for this is going to be the high score itself. So I'm going to drag this high score under the high score text. So it will be the parent, and then this would be next. So this is going to be my score text, and this would be the score itself. So let me call this score and drag this under the score text to be the parent. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess we're on track in a way. Now, let's take this and position it. So come over here to this rect transform, hit on these triangles which have middle and center. Left click on it and then hit Shift Alt, and then you can click over there. So you can see it goes to the top corner around here. You can see it's there. So this is where it is. Now, for this high score text, I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this high score. Alright, and then for this, I'm going to position it somewhere besides my high score. So let's see, let's put it somewhere there. Now let me add a column to this high score, something like that. And then for this text, let's see. Okay, it's going to be somewhere there. Then let's clear this new text. Let me test it with a few zeros. Yeah, so this should do. Let me hit shift space and you can see the zeros are exceeding the screen. And then I don't really think someone can beat this high score up to 1,000,000, but it's possible. So we can drag this together. We can drag this back inside. So let's position it somewhere here so everything is good. And then for the font size, let's increase this to something like let's say 24. Somewhere around there. I think that should do. Same thing for the high score. It should also be 24. Yeah, so they are bigger now. We need to still rearrange this. So let's let me shift this, I think somewhere there, and then this, bring it around there. Okay, so this should take care of the high score. Let's look at this. So it's way over around there. It's above the screen level, so we can barely see it. Let's bring it down. And you can yeah, so I think we can deal with this. That should be okay. So let me see. I'll just go ahead and delete this and make another duplicate of this. So let me use Control D, and for this I'm going to drag it to be just below the high score. There we go. I'm going to rename this score text. Alright, and then this I'm going to change it to score, no high score any longer. So let's hit score. This also, let me change the name to score, and let me drag this to be just beside the score. Let's take a look at it. Right, so let me arrange this. Yeah, so this should display our score just fine. I think there will be no problem there. So we can clear these zeros. Let's see, we can clear up these zeros and leave something like, let's see, 3 or 4. Yeah, so I think let me leave it at 5. I don't think someone can beat this score, so I'm going to leave it there. Then I'm going to drag this to the extreme end. Undo. I'm going to drag the whole thing. Yeah, so same thing for the high score. I'm going to leave this at 5. 1, 4, 5. I'm going to drag the whole thing to the edge. Okay, so with this being having set this, what we need to do now is we need to go inside of Visual Studio and code. So let's double click on the score script which we created not too long ago. So let's double click this to open it up. Alright, and inside here, what we need a few variables, but before we do that, let's add the UI namespace. So let's copy this and paste it down here, and then add .ui to this. Right, so let's begin, or let's start. Now we're going to make a few public variables. So this would be public. First would be a float. So this float is going to be my score count. Okay, and then the next is going to be an integer. So this will be a public integer. I'm going to call this score itself. Next would be a public, also an integer, and this would be a high score. Okay, and then I would need a text. This would be a public text. I'm going to call this my score text. And then another text. And this is going to be the high score text. Okay, so this should be everything which I need. Now let's see. In my start, what I need is to set my score to 1. So whenever the game starts, this score would be equal to 0. This is where to start from. And for the update, what I need is for my score count. Let's make the score count also 0, not just the score. Let's set this also to 0. Right, so for my score count, I want to add this with my time dot delta time. Okay, so the score count will be equal to my time dot delta time, which means it's going to be updated constantly while this time gets updated. Now the next thing will be for my score, I'm going to set this to be an integer value. This will be an int of my score count. Alright, because it's an integer, there's no way it can be converted into a float, so you have to specify that you want the integer of the score count so it can become your score. So that should be it. Now let's see. For my score, for my high score rather, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see, I'm going to use something called player prefs. And this is a very simple way to store basic data. That's to save data. If you want to use something complex, you have to access a whole new namespace, but this has been doing a good job so far. So you can use it for various aspects of your game once you are making a game. Now let's use player prefs. Then this would be player prefs.getInt. And right here, let's go back. So we want to check to see if this is happening. Player prefs.getInt, and then we need to specify the string. So let's make a string and let's call this high score. Notice the difference in the spelling from this high score because there are two different things. I'm beginning this with a lower case and this is with an upper case. So make sure you take note of that. So I would want to check to see if my high score, that's this player pref string, so I'm going to check to see if this is less than or equal to my score, which is currently being updated. So if this condition is true, then I want to execute this line of code. In this case, I want to set my player prefs. So I want to set integer plus set int. And this int is the high score. Alright, this int is the high score. So I want to set this high score to be my score. So that should take care of it. And then down here, what I want to do for my high score is for the high score, this is going to be same with my player prefs. So let's get this to be equal to my player prefs dot get int, and this integer is the high score. Right, so this is it. Now this takes care of our score. So to explain these entire lines or this bunch of code which I just wrote, this first of all calculates the score. So every time the delta time gets updated, the score count is being added, and this score is an integer variable, so it has to be an int of this float, which is our score count. And then we introduce something called player prefs, which is used to store simple data inside of Unity. It's a very simple way to store data, which all you have to do is give it a string, and then if you want to compare, you can see I used getInt method. So I compared this to my score, and then if this condition is true, then I want this line to be executed, which I want to set the integer of my high score to score. And finally below, I want to set the high score to this player prefs.getInt high score. Alright, so now for our text. Okay, so finally for the text, the high score and the score text, this is going to be just below. Now let's see, what did I name them again? Score text and high score text. So right now what I need to do is link them up, and what I'll do is I'm going to say or type in my high score text dot text. I'm going to set this to be equal to my high score, and then convert this to a string. Okay, so this should take care of it. And then finally for the score text, the same thing. So for the score text dot text, I'm going to set this to be equal to my score dot to string. Alright, so let's save this and head back into Unity. We defined score already. Score is a class, so it cannot be used as a variable. My mistake. So if you follow this and also made this error, change the name of your variable by using s. So let's follow all the scores. It's supposed to be a class, so let's rename this, change it to a lowercase s, make that score. Down here also score, and also score. So save this now and go back into Unity. Okay, so once this finishes loading, then we can create a game object, an empty game object, and we're going to rename this to score. Reset the transform, and then we can drag this score script onto it. Right, so you can see all our public variables are showing. Now we can drag our score and high score into that, not the text. The text is obviously going to be showing as a text. All we want to do is to drag this child of the high score text to high score, and then the child of the score also to the score text. So this should take care of it. We can now test our game. And you can see our score is being updated together with our high score, and obstacles are being spawned in. Once it comes over here, we can jump over it. Alright, okay, so watch what happens when I collide. It pops up this game over, and then when I hit restart, you can see that our high score remains 22 while our score starts from 0 all over again. So it means our player prefs do work and they save our high score. So that's a thing of joy for us. Now with this, I believe our game is complete. Yeah, so I think this is how to make a 2D endless runner. And with that being said, we've come to the end. I really appreciate those of you who follow this tutorial to the end. Really, thank you for watching. I think right now I need to find a way to put this video together into one so you can get it off of my YouTube channel. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button down below. Thank you guys for watching this, and I hope I see you in the next series.